Hi guys, welcome back. I hope you all had a great weekend. I haven't posted since Friday as, to be honest, there wasn't a fat lot going on, kind of newsworthy anyway. There were a few announcements, the Christian Eriksen news, the Lissandro Martinez news, and obviously the white kit dropping. I just want to say, if any of you did watch Friday's video, you'll see I did mention in my match reaction that's what's coming up. Martinez, Eriksen to be announced very shortly, the white kit. We all knew that was going to be announced on Saturday anyway. And this video might be actually the first video that is under 10 minutes. It should definitely be under 15 minutes, there's not a lot to talk about. It's more of kind of a match preview for tomorrow's game against Crystal Palace, which, if you remember on my other videos, I've talked about the kickoff time, 10 past 11. A bit of a weird one, but I'll be watching that tomorrow, or I should be at least. As a few of you might be, I'll also do a reaction at the end. But the news to talk about regarding that game I'll get to shortly. First of all, I want to say of the comments, criticisms, feedback I've had. Obviously, the first ones was that my first video was too long, so I tried to cut them down. I'm trying to get them to that 15-minute mark, but they're all about 20 minutes at the minute, so I'm still working on that. Another thing was that the microphone I was using was no good. I needed to get another one, and as you can see, I do have a new microphone. It arrived over the weekend. I have got another microphone that I've used, but I was just having constant technical difficulties with it, so I've binned that one off, got a new one, and I'm happy with how it sounds so far. I've done a few tests. Moving on to the actual news that you all came for. The Man United team, there's no new injuries. Varane is expected to maybe not be fit for this game. De Gea, it's unsure whether he'll be back or if they're going to leave it for this game and play him in the Villa game on Saturday. I believe it's either Saturday or Sunday. I believe it's Saturday. Tuanzebe, I believe, has gone back to Manchester to work on his injury, but these aren't any kind of tier 1 reports that he's gone back. He could still be with the team. I've looked through the training photos. I haven't seen him in the photos, so it's unsure what's happening with Tuanzebe, but the expectation is that he won't be making any appearances in our last 2 games of Australia. James Garner, on the other hand, he is back in training today. So if it's anything like Harry Maguire trained for 1 day before the Melbourne victory game and he played the first half. Hopefully James Garner could be the same, but it could be a slightly different injury. He could not quite be there yet. Hopefully we do see him, even if it's only the last 20-30 minutes. Same with Hannibal, who hasn't played yet. Same with Garnacho, although Hannibal is maybe a little bit further along his development and closer to the first team. I do hope that Hannibal gets a whole half, but it's yet to be seen. My thinking is that certain players that are expected to play, kind of Bruno, for example, I believe he may be rested. Van de Beek might be given the first half, Hannibal second half. Garnacho as well. Maybe he will start in place of Rashford on the left and Alanga will play again. But obviously a lot of it is down to what their fitness is like at the minute. And there's no match practice like playing in practice matches. It gives a good indicator of where we're at. So my prediction is that Martial will start again up front, mostly for lack of alternatives. We have talked about on the subreddit Red Devils that this year Bruno could possibly play as a false 9. There's no indication that that could happen, but it is an option that we could see Bruno start as the number 9 and then 2 wingers / forwards either side of him with Donny behind him or Hannibal. I would like to see that. I'd like to see it given a go, but as I say, it might just be kind of talk of the fans, not really any concrete evidence that this could happen. Team news for Crystal Palace is a lot more interesting because I only found out over the weekend. I know they played, was it Liverpool they played the other week and they lost 2-0. Palace have only actually taken 10 senior players on this tour of Australia and wherever it's at, Singapore, I think. Singapore and Australia. They've only taken 10 senior players, the rest are youth players. And one of those senior players is Malcolm. I'm gonna absolutely desecrate his surname now. Eberway, of Derby, formerly played under Wayne Rooney last year. A very good-looking talent. I mean, good-looking as in the way he plays. He's a handsome chap as well. But I was talking more about him as a player, quite young. There was actually links to him signing for Man United when his contract expired at Derby. It's a shame, obviously, what's going on down there. They couldn't retain any players where their contract was running out, so he is left. Signed for Palace. He's one of their 10 senior players. Another one on the list is Anderson, who I can remember played a little bit last year, but I don't think he's a starting player for them. The other 8 players are kind of AU and Milivojevic in midfield. Milivojevic is kind of the only senior midfielder they've taken. The big news is obviously that Wilf Zaha isn't with them. From what I believe, Michael Elise isn't with them. And who's the other player that did well for them last year? There's another player, I can't think of his name, that hasn't gone. So, unnamed player is not in the team, which is breaking news. But basically, they have 10 senior players. I remember the 2 goalkeepers is Gaeta and Butland. So, I'm not sure how Ten Hag will look at this one. Will it be a case of play the first team, work on the fitness? You know, it's a confidence thing that, no disrespect to Palace, but with a depleted team, maybe it could be quite a big scoreline. We could get to practice a few different types of tactics or drills or how he wants us to play in his system. Or could it be a chance to play some of the younger players, maybe start Savage and Iqbal and see how they go from the start? They've both come on in the second half of both our games, you know, which is maybe a little bit easier than starting the game. Maybe they'll be put in from the start. As I said, maybe Bruno will get a rest. Maybe Rashford, Martial, Shaw will all get a rest. Maybe Wan-Bissaka will get a game at right back. Other than that, there's no real new injury news. There's no selection news that's out there at the minute. I'm sure that on the Man United app there'll be actual team news that will come out if there's any fresh injury concerns. The only other news that's came out really is that Ten Hag has blocked a tour kind of meet and greet and a bit of bonding time for the players. He prefers to keep on training, which is a good thing. You know, he's not all about the publicity and doing all those kind of things. I was going to sing a changed version of the Neighbours theme tune, you know, Nobody Wants Good Neighbours, because that is where they were meant to be going. They were meant to be going to wherever it's filmed. They were meant to be going to the set of Neighbours, which I've got no idea why. I've got no idea which of our current team is a fan of Neighbours or why they would want to go there, but, you know, some publicity thing. Ten Hag has apparently blocked this in favour of more training, which is a good thing. Other than that, outside the match, obviously we've got Villa as our next game on Saturday. I believe that will be a little bit closer to the team that we will actually be playing in the first game of the season against Brighton. Yeah, Brighton at home, and then we've got Brentford away, second game. And then third game, the second biggest team in Liverpool, we're playing them. So I think we'll get close to seeing the starting lineup against Liverpool. And I'm pretty sure that Martial, not against Liverpool, against Brighton, sorry. I'm pretty sure that Martial will start the first game. Obviously, he's been here for the whole of the pre-season. And that's not saying anything against Ronaldo. You know, he said he's off for family reasons. The club have said he's off for family reasons. And even though people will speculate, the club has said that. So we've got to take that as it is. You know, he could possibly really be off for family reasons. Something could have happened that we don't know. Obviously, we know what happened last year with the birth of his twins. So I don't think Ten Hag's going to use it against him that he wasn't on the pre-season tour. But obviously he will have seen more of Martial, and he might make the decision that I want him to start the first game. He might say to Martial, look, these first 3 or 4 games, there's a big one against Liverpool. I think our fourth game it's either Southampton or Leicester. I'm going to play you in these first 3 or 4 games. If you're not playing well in the game, obviously Ronaldo's on the bench, but I want you to start these first 3-4 games. And that could be the chance for Martial to really lay down a marker. Ronaldo, I do think, will be on the bench for that first game. I don't think he'll be leaving. I don't think there's anywhere he could go. There was news of a Sporting Lisbon loan, which Ronaldo shared with the caption "fake." So he's not going there. I'm sure they have Champions League this year, but he's not quite ready to go back to Portugal yet. He said he will end his career there. So I believe he will be staying, and while it might not go well for him to start with, the fans will be on his back a little bit as soon as he starts scoring goals. Imagine he comes off the bench against Liverpool and scores the winner. Who's really going to boo him then? So I think he will be staying. I think it will be good that him and Martial could be fighting it out for the number 9. Obviously the world's best ever goal scorer, there's no question about it. And Cristiano Ronaldo. No, I'm kidding, obviously. And Anthony Martial, who I love, and I would love to see him get his form back, same with Rashford. The transfer news at the minute is that we are linked to a right back from Lens in France. He has actually been capped by France. Klaus is the name. He's 29 years old, so he's an older player. We're not buying potential, we're buying ability with this player. Apparently £8-9 million is the price. There's a couple of teams linked with him, but United are one. I can't say I watched him play at all. I've watched extensive YouTube videos, so I'm not qualified to make an assessment on him. If we are linked to him, then there's a reason. It could be completely made up. It could be trying to drive the price up, using United's name. But if we are linked with him, if Ten Hag likes him, if the club likes him, and we are signing him, then there's obviously something there. On paper, not to use Love Island terminology, but on paper, he seems a very good player. His stats are very good. And like I say, coming in at 29 years old, it could be get him in for 2, 3, 4 years. Until Laird is maybe ready, see how his development goes. Other players that are more suitable for Ten Hag's system can come in. It's not a big signing, it's kind of under the radar, and he can come in and do a job for us for 2-3 years. Would also allow us to sell Wan-Bissaka or Dalot, whichever one Ten Hag likes the least, I suppose. Wan-Bissaka is probably the most marketable, even though he's had a bad season. He is a good defender, there's no arguing that. His positional awareness, people have pointed to, but that could be tactical. He didn't really have that problem in his first season with us, or his season at Palace before that. So I'm sure there are a lot of teams that for 15-20 million would take him on. He's still pretty young, he's an English right back, his defending is very good. If he could play in a team that plays kind of sit back defensive football, he would be ideal. So I do think we could get 15-20 million for him and then sign this Klaus for 8 million. We've made a profit and upgraded our right back for at least a season, if not 2 or 3. The other news, one of the strikers that I actually have mentioned in maybe 3 or 4 of my videos, Premiership striker Ivan Toney, who apparently was available for 30 million at the start of the window. Newcastle are linked with him, but also we're linked with him. The price is now being talked about between 30 and 50 million pounds, which is to be expected this close to the first game of the season. I would like him at United. There are some fans that think, what an absolute mess of a downgrade if Ronaldo leaves and Tony comes in, Mr. Champions League to Mr. Championship kind of thing, but I'm not of that opinion at all. Were Liverpool fans complaining when they signed Wijnaldum from Newcastle or Robertson from Hull? Maybe they were, but the fact is, or us with Valencia from Wigan, these teams, and they were relegated teams by the way, these teams that are at the bottom of the table, that doesn't mean their players are bottom of the table players. Tony will step up. He will go to a bigger club than Brentford, with no disrespect, and I'm sure he'll do well. Is he a United player? He's hard working. He could work under Ten Hag. I don't see him coming. I don't see Ronaldo leaving. I think our striking options for the season are Martial and Ronaldo, with other players possibly going in there and tactics possibly changing. So the Tony news, I'd say, is no news at all. More likely him going to Newcastle. And the other news is there's not been much reported on it. There's not much known about it. A Dutch player by the name of Frankie Belong. Obviously we all know Frankie De Jong. It has turned into a saga, and it shows no signs of stopping. De Jong has been named on their pre-season tour of America squad, so he's going to that, which is usually an indicator things are over if he's going to pre-season. They've made their signings: Lewandowski, Rafinha. There's not been much said about anything, how they're going to afford it all. So who knows? But it doesn't look like De Jong is coming. I don't think he is. There's still a small chance, but I think it's pretty much dead. And some of the alternatives I talked about, I think we should be going after them now. Whether that's the same kind of player in Neves, a different kind of player in Milinkovic-Savic or Paradis, who knows? But that would be my option, just to move on, go for someone else. I did say this video would be less than 20 minutes. We're currently on 16. So I'm going to call it there. I don't want to get too bogged down by transfers. I'm looking forward to the game. I'll be doing a reaction. Please let me know again, any comments, any feedback. Thank you very much. Let me know how the new microphone works. Thank you, and goodbye.